Okay, this is a video, a training video if you want to call it, on characteristic intervals as used in this song, Fly Me to the Moon. If you've studied your material that I presented in the Learning the Language of Music using the Bach Prelude in C from the Well-Tempered Clavier, you learn that characteristic intervals give the chord its identity, or some say its quality. In other words, that's a C major 7 chord or C major quadrad. I still haven't figured out what's best, so I can use it interchangeably. Okay, now characteristic intervals, that doesn't give you anything. That could be anything. That could be minor, it could be dominant, it could be a 4 major with a 5th in the bass, or minor. But you see, it depends upon the third. What is the character of the chord? What's the sound character? What is its identity? You can identify something like this, for instance. Half diminished, and if you add a G to it, that is a G dominant 9 chord. Well, these things you must recognize, and you must get this sound in your ear. For I've got a major third and a minor 7, that's dominant of G. So the major third, the minor 7, there's the 5th, there's the 9th. Now this is an 11 chord. Now if you want to do that in thirds, isn't that a beauty? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. You then resolve it. And there's your 9th in both cases. I just like to take this down. Sounds like a different chord, but it's exactly the same chord. But you're going from the 9, 11. 9 comes down to 8, which is the root of the chord, and the 11th comes down to the major third. You can call it the 10th, but that is never called the 10th. It's the major third. Triads. A minor in the piece starts here. The characteristic, is the minor third. A minor third is a step and a half. That doesn't give us anything. Could be major, but it's minor. Half step, the major third, half step small as a minor third. Then it goes to a D. Again, a step and a half minor third. A major third, 2 steps. And the major third on the C major. So, now I've got a triad here, A, C, and E. Just a triad. The root D to F is a minor. Major third from the root, 2 steps. Major third. Sounds nice. Not a problem with that. Now, as a biad, 2-note chords, notice I went from A to D to G to C, always up 4 notes. I could go down 4 notes. This is important for you to do this. You change things as simple as this. Well, let's change it back and forth a little bit. A, D, up to G, on up to C. That gives a different sound than somehow that's a richer sound than these are things you still have to do. You have to experiment with what kind of a sound you want. This sort of closed, very pretty sound, or do you want it more spread apart so it's a little bit richer with these lower tones, which can be very, very nice. Either way, it's very, very nice. Now, when you get in your 7th chords, and I'll use that term, you got the major 3rd, the minor, and the major 7th. Major 3rd, a step and a half, and a major 7th, a step below the root. So there's the 5th, there's the 3rd, and the major, and both of these are major. And that major 3rd and major 7th gives its identity of a major 7th chord or quadrate. Okay, minor, A minor. Minor 3rd, minor 7th. A minor 3rd is a step and a half above the root, and the minor 7th is a whole step below the root, instead of a half step, which would be a major 7th. And then D minor, same thing, minor 3rd, minor 7th, same thing. I can do it this way or this way, depending upon the melody. But this is, you've got the melody. So it has to be with minor 7th, whole step below the root, and let's see, this is the major 3rd. Major 7th, major 3rd. Put it all together, it makes some very nice basic music. It's filling in some of the extra notes that weren't there when you just... That is pretty, but you know, you might want something a bit more. Well, you want some more then. How about, let's see, the major 3rd, and the minor 7th. And let's go ahead and put in the 5th. The root, the minor 3rd, the minor 7th, the 5th. The minor 7th, a whole step below the root. And the major 7th, and the major 3rd. Now that's a little complicated, because you've got to see these things either, for instance, your major 7 chord. Well, there's the major 7, there's the major 3rd, but you could have it in this order also, which is the major 3rd and the major 7th. Put the major 3rd on the major 7th on the bottom, major 7th, major 3rd, major 3rd, major 7th. We're going to cover a piece that covers that kind of thing, taking the right hand characteristic interval and inverting it, putting the bottom on top or the top on the bottom. But you just have to recognize it. So A minor. Well, if the minor 3rd's on top, then you have to have the minor 7th on the bottom. And here's the root and the 5th. Again, the minor 3rd's on top, the minor 7th's on the bottom. Major 3rd's on, the 3rd's always on the top, by the way. It's either a minor 3rd or a major 3rd. Well, there's a major 3rd, which is dominant in its identity. There's your major again. Major 7th, major 3rd. Now, that can be very nice. Very pretty. What else can we do with it? Major, let's see, major 3rd, major 7th. Let's see, what have I got wrong here? Oh, I know. See, doubling. the third. That's a triad, that'd be the major 7. Nice, huh? That's a little thin because there's such a distance here. But if you fill it in by doubling that minor third, now you already have that octave there. Or you could have this, but it's sort of thin. Put the whole, there's your whole D minor 7 chord. Now there the major third is doubled. Now your 5th, your major 7th, your major 3rd. In just doing just this much, there are choices to be made. And this is the most valuable practice in being able to see these characteristic intervals as well to hear them. You know, if you want to start off on a major third, well, that's, you know, major third minor, that won't work. So minor third minor 7th. Yeah. But that's not a 6th. That's not your 6th chord, your submediate chord. You do this. Oh, isn't that pretty? Now I'm doubling the third at all times. I think that's a very pretty arrangement. Let's try it again. Now, I'm at the minor 7th and the major third doubled, minor third doubled, minor third, minor 7th, and by the way, we've also got the 7th doubled. Same thing exactly. You could have this, maybe not so, that's a little grindy somehow. That's much nicer. That is a gorgeous arrangement. It's a little bit lighter. It's because it's higher. Now, you could do this. Let's see. Now, play the A minor, then the third, minor third, the minor 7th. You can see it down here. Now, the whole chord down here. Minor third, minor 7th. The major third, the minor 7th. You see, that's a little too grumbly. It's just you don't need this down here. You don't even need that major 7th. Much nicer. Again, make sure your ears are open. That's not a particularly attractive sound. Much better. Work on that 4 measures at a time. Write them out if necessary. Okay, now we're going to wrap this thing up here because you got some work to do on these characteristic intervals. Now, going back to root and melody. Any way you want to put that, you know, this is pretty much within a very short period, span here. But A, D, G, either down or up. Okay, now, here's the first beat. On your second beat, take your left hand and put in the minor third and the minor 7th. See, separate. Now there's your supertonic and make your melody, which is the minor third. You could double that minor third. about the characteristic intervals here. Now you either gotta, now there's your G, there's your B, and your minor 7. You can, maybe you like that better. What do you like? Or, my preference I think would be that. Let's do it a different way. Now then, the minor 3rd, doubling it, and the minor 7. Now then, you got the minor 3rd, but you see, double it. Nice. See, the characteristic intervals on the 2nd beat. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In itself, that's very pretty. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now half diminished, you've got 3 intervals that are characteristic. Minor 3rd, diminished 5th, and minor 7th. So you may as well put in all 3 of them. Major 3rd, minor 7th. That's enough right there, because now you got the minor 3rd and the minor. Make it into a 11 chord, or that's the essence of characteristic intervals, and that's what gives these chords their particular identity or their quality. You've got to see them, you've got to hear them, and it would be great if you'd write them also. There's some really pretty music to be made by this, and I've chosen this particular song because it is rather standard. Now there's not a great amount of deviance from chord to chord, except for major and minor and dominant and that sort of thing. But I think you can feel good about this because you're making some nice music. First of all, just single notes in both hands. So on. And then as, or, see, there's your minor 7th, minor 3rd, or the minor 3rd and the minor 7th. Or, see, one's just the inversion of the other. I don't think that that would be so difficult for you to handle. So if you practice this, let's say in 4-bar sections, then you try transposing it. All right, let's say key of G major. So you end on G, which is the root. E is the submedian, 6. Alright, now E is, now then, it's awfully tight here, but let's see if I can do it. Yeah. Major 3rd, minor 7th. Now there's your diminished. Minor 7th, major 3rd for the dom. Minor 3rd, and then where's it going to be your Well, you got the minor third, where's the minor seventh? I don't think you want to double that minor third down here. It's all right, I think, but it's awfully getting awfully heavy. You need to judge a little bit. When you're down here, spread your notes out and don't double too much. When you're up here, you can use closer notes and you can use doublings. This is technical, but it's technical on such a basic level that I think you can have good success with it. And I want you to do the whole song and work on it. And this is practice. This is intelligent practice because you've got to understand your major and minor thirds and your major and minor sevenths. And then for the half diminished, you've got to have the minor third, diminished fifth, and the minor seventh. Now that's quite a mouthful for you if you've never done this before. Whether you're a professional pianist but you've never done popular music, or if you're sort of, you know, as they say, an amateur, not a professional. Amateur comes from the French, which means love. Amo, to love. So amateur is one who doesn't do it professionally. He does it because he loves it. So is there a reason why a professional isn't an amateur also? Let's consider ourselves all amateurs. That we are professionals, we love our music, and we love the sounds that we can make. And you can be proud of the sounds that you make, because when they come out with the correct characteristic intervals, you've got music. And you've got also music that no one else has produced. I don't know of anybody who does what I'm explaining here. They always do fancy things up and down the keyboard, and then they say, oh, we need to break this down, and here's how you do this. And they never explain characteristic intervals. So you never know exactly what you're doing. You're just sort of trying to memorize things. Granted, there's a certain amount of memory that's involved here. Like, a whole step and a half step is a minor third. Memorize that. So when you come to it, you know that's a minor third. Or, whole step is a major third. Do that around the piano just as your own drill. Whole step, half step, minor third. Or down, whole step, half step, minor third. Oh, isn't that interesting? Regard all these things that you do as not only beautiful, but interesting. Oh, we can take a major third and we can make it minor into lowering the top note, which makes it a half step smaller. Or we can raise the bottom note, which makes it a half step smaller. Boy, doesn't that create a completely different sound. That's a little bit more related somehow than this. Oh, there's so much to music that you can make. Just simply the most wonderful music with the simplest means. If you do this in triads without, there's a triad, there's no seventh. Only a triad. Only a triad, there's your dominant, but only a triad. There's a certain wonderful simplicity about that. Do it without the sevenths. Do it with the seventh. With the triads, you either got major thirds or minor thirds. And on the diminished, your half diminished, you don't have the seventh. So it's just a triad in any case. The minor third and the diminished fifth. I hope that you're beginning to understand a little bit what I'm talking about in regards to the elements of music as such, not theory. This is not theory. This has to do with music itself. But it also has to do with sounds. The major third, the minor seventh, those are sounds that we make when we understand what we are doing. And playing the piano simply by memory, you know, the old method, memorize and practice doesn't give us anything like this that we can really do different things with, even though they're so simple. Like playing this as your A, or this one, or your this one. You know, everything has its own particular sound. That the C chord, you know, well, there's interval, force. Or you can do it from the fifth of the chord. Don't play the third, but the fifth, 5, 7, 9, 11. Nice. You see, what you have are choices. You can do it this way, or you can do it this way. You can put it up here, or you can put it down here. Or you can double the thirds, double the thirds. Double the third with the major third. And they sound, I think they just sound wonderful, because you don't generally have these kinds of sounds. But you're the one producing them, because you're at the piano. I'm simply giving you some guidelines about how you can make whatever sounds you like, whether you like compressed sounds or you like expanded sounds down here. So I think that's enough for today, and we'll cover something else next video. I think I've got one more going. Can't tell you what it is though, because I don't know offhand. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.